In recalling and narrating about how we met, I was taken aback as someone explained it. I knew it was not the way we met. Someone else, in writing many years later an account of an earlier incident, disappointed me, for I knew it was not so, as I stood witness to it too, as I was there too. I guess age catches up and we lose the memory of the past as it took place exactly. I wonder how many stories that are going on are authentic now, without important components dropped, without treachery in manipulating these stories for their own advantage, without dilution, or without adding on to impress and garner viewers and listeners. This applies in the spiritual context too. We need to tread carefully, sieving through all the information that is flooded all around us. With social media and the tools on our hands, it is even more important that we authenticate the news first before sharing blindly. Norman Rockwell's artistic piece, The Gossips, is a classic representation of how a message ends totally change after it passes through word of mouth to many. Let's face it, the memory fails us eventually. The best bet would be to document instantly in writing, lest we forget the details later. That is how I took notes of all my travels in India and later locally. So today you get to read about my travels, and I get to go back in time whenever I read them for myself. So how did our ancients go about documenting events? Stories were told relying on memory, carried through oral tradition, carved into rocks, and painted in caves. We learned that the Siddhas etched into dried palm leave stories of individuals, nations, and events. How would you want to store and remember your past memories to be reviewed later? The movie The Final Cut touches on this subject. A company provides the technology for an implant that stores them. There are then professional cutters who cut and edit and keep the stories the family wants to see of their deceased loved one. Interesting, right? But would we really want the memories stored forever inside three important areas of the brain? The hippocampus, the neocortex, and the amygdala, or for that matter, have implants. It is scary to live through some memories, though we love to relinquish the good times with our dear ones. I guess forgetting is a blessing for some, while remembering might be a blessing for others. Just as our brains keep records of our lives' happenings as memories, are all happenings in the world and the universe, for that matter, recorded somewhere. Like the personal computer, which uploads and stores memories in the form of pictures and videos in the cloud, are the memories in our brain stored somewhere too? Maybe the Akashic Library? It seems so, for the Siddhas seem to have access to this large bank of data and tend to reveal some to seekers of their nadi from time to time. The guru reveals some more. It is said in meditation the rest is revealed. We want to know these? Just as nature through floods and droughts, and man through war wipes out civilizations, the divine too is known to wipe out traces of civilizations, sacred texts, and even his footsteps for reasons only known to them. It is said that the sea had swallowed many ancient and sacred works, including this. Time or Kala wipes out even our memories. But the saints could look out there and tell us things. They could go within and tell us things. They could look into the past and future besides revealing the present. Many good souls have come by since I started on my journey, seeking to know the Siddhas, taking up the invitation by Agathiar in my very first Nadi reading back then in the year 2002. I thought I shall pay tribute to these kind souls in a series of posts on Siddha Heartbeat. The one that came to my mind was a medical student Stalinjari hailing from South India who was studying in Russia then. He came into my life in 2014 having emailed me. He took it up upon himself to create digital posters announcing the many live streams I did back then. I am indebted to him for he took the trouble to engage in this tedious work amidst his studies. Today he is back in India.
Just as we have seen the many miracles that have taken place at Tavayoga's ashram in Kalar, Agathiar did perform equally magnificent miracles in the life of an ardent devotee. She is Molly Menon from Lakeville, Minnesota, USA. Molly was an ardent devotee of goddess Ambal and Karupana Sami. Each time she returned to her homeland in Kerala, she never failed to offer her prayers to the 7-foot-tall Karupana Sami, whom she installed in Chennai. She was an ardent devotee of Shirdi Sai Baba, too. Then she came across Taviyogi Thangarasan Adigal's website, which sent her reeling to Kalar. Molly used to share many hours with me on Skype even before she made the journey to Kalar. Her yearning for Agathiyar grew from day to day. At Kalar Agathiyar, through Taviyogi magically and mysteriously initiated. Taviyogi sent her away after her initiation. She went back to the USA only to return the following year, 2012, to participate in the Agathiyar Jayanti celebrations in Kalar. Her tale is to be told, for it is a magnificent one.
The one who mooted me to live stream the pujas initially on Ustream.tv and later live YouTube, which otherwise was conducted within the four walls of my home, was Molly Menon, who later became to be known to others as Jnana Jyothiyama, a name given by Agathiyar. She had emailed me after reading my now-defunct website, Indian Heartbeat. Greetings to you, sir. I am Mrs. Menon. I was reading an article from Augustar.com when one link led to another and then to another, and finally saw this link, My Travels with Subramania Swami, forum where I was able to get the complete picture of your travel and experiences with the Taviyogi and Subramania Swami. Hence began a wonderful relationship between her and my family. She left for Kalar Ashram in 2011 and was blessed to begin her journey on the Siddha path by Taviyogi Thangarasan Adigal, Mataji Surjinia Mayar, and Agathiyar. Returning to the USA, she prompted me to air live the puja I did at home. She would watch the puja from her room at her aunt's place. She also introduced me to Skype, where she would speak to me for hours on end about Agathiyar. Agathiyar would take the opportunity to interrupt our conversation and speak to her on Skype. Wanting to see Agathiyar in my home, she followed us landing in Malaysia within hours after me, and my family arrived home from visiting her in Kalar Ashram in 2013. She spent just 4 days with Agathiyar and left to return the following year. Moving back to her birthplace of Kerala and Chennai, where she studied, she went on an extensive pilgrimage of discovery. Agathiyar arranged for her to be brought places. She spread the essence of Agathiyar's teachings, brushing it on to all those who came within some distance. If initially she went in search of the Siddhas after confining her to her room in an apartment in Chennai, she was visited by the Siddhas later. She has since passed away. He came to witness our regular Purnami Puja, or rituals conducted on full moon days after having a Nadi reading. He was a stranger to me then, or so we thought. Agathiyar, in his subsequent Nadi readings, told us that we were together too in earlier births. He called my phone and called on me after his first Nadi reading on the advice of Agathiyar. In the Nadi, he began to participate in all our home prayers. Soon he spread the news about his Nadi reading and his visits to my home to his former schoolmates. They had come together to perform charity under the banner Thandu Sivam much earlier. With their arrival too, my home needed a name to identify and locate. Agathiyar Vana Malaysia, AVM, was born. Soon Amuda Sarabi, AS, emerged as a charity arm of AVM. These youngsters were the driving force behind AVM and AS. All credits go to Balachandran, the one who started the ball rolling. He was the commander-in-chief of the team, just had he had been on the battlefield in one of his previous births. He contributed many digital artworks for our use on Siddha Heartbeat. Life is akin to going on a tour. We stop at places, meet with others, and take leave. We do some sightseeing and some purchasing, and off we go on to our next destination. Meanwhile, there are several others with whom we travel in the same compartment or vehicle. These are the family and friends who spend more time with us. And so many souls came by on my life's journey too. Most came to make my life pleasurable and memorable. Some came as a thorn that hurt. But we choose to recall the good memories and regard the bad experiences as things to avoid in the future. Along this journey, Mahindran came along in 2013 together with several other youths introduced to me by Balachandran. I would rather choose to see him as sent by Agathiar himself to anoint and decorate his bronze statue at my home. He volunteered and took up the tasks of bathing and dressing up Agathiar's statue to his heart's content and the satisfaction of Agathiar himself. Today, he carries on the rituals in the confines of his home with his family and occasionally drops by at my home and performs the rituals before Agathiar at AVM. Next in line in this series of souls who came by in my life is Surendran. Though he is mentioned sixth in line, he was one of the very first devotees of Agathiar who came by my home as early as 2010 and has since then remained an ardent devotee of Agathiar. He was chosen by Agathiar, I guess, to bring in the news, latest developments, interviews, visuals, and audios that I have used extensively in my YouTube videos. He would get messages from Agathiar regarding AVM and its direction through his numerous Nadi readings and convey them to us. Next in line is my family. I should have placed them at the beginning, for they had been with me from the very start, helping me with the preparations, during and after the rituals conducted for the Siddha Puja done in our home. Agathiar tells us that we had all been together in a past birth too. He tells me further the reason I came to the Siddha path was because of them. Then came along many strangers seeking Agathiar and sent by him to my home. They soon became family too. My family has grown in numbers since then. Of course, I cannot possibly repay my parents who brought me into this world. I am grateful for the calling that came through the Nadi reading, my first in 2002. It set the ball rolling, getting me to seek to know more about Agathiar and the Siddhas. Taking his word as the gospel, I made my first pilgrimage to India the following year in 2003. As promised in the Nadi, I met Subramania Swami of Tiruvannamalai. 3 years on, I met Tavayogi Thangarasan Adigal of Kaular Ashram during his visit to Malaysia. As promised, he groomed me on the ways and teachings of the Siddhas. I am indebted for life to these two wonderful souls who showed me the many forms of the divinity that is in and around us, with names, images, tags, and labels attached and given by us. After their demise, the whole pantheon of gods together with the Siddhas came to reveal further and take our hands. What more can one ask for? No puja is complete without a session of bhajan or songs in praise of the Lord. Jagan has always lifted our moods and elevated us to a state of ecstasy many a time with his singing during our prayers. Often his buddy Hari would accompany him with a beat. Jagan has lent his voice to our in-house production with Ragawave Production, Agathiyar Geetham. It was on a hot late Saturday afternoon in 2001 that my nephew dropped in on me in my home with a message from his gurus. I was hibernating then, staying away from all forms of worship, taking what Lord Shiva had told me in a dream in 1988 to the extreme, and ending all my readings, home puja, and temple worship. Lord Shiva, seeing my torment at not getting answers to the sufferings others went through, was merciful and compassionate enough to ask me to drop and shed everything I did then. That is when, after 13 years, my nephew Thalan drops by giving me a message and a Vasudeva mantra that sets me back on track after the long absence. Later, he passes me a painting of Lord Dakshinamurti to worship, telling me that I shall meet my guru soon. The following year, Agathiyar comes as my guru in the Nadi reading and sends me off on a pilgrimage of Indian temples and finally to meet my very first guru in physical form, Subramania Swami of Tiruvannamalai, on my last leg of the pilgrimage. Only did he reveal the source of the initiation a couple of years later. It was from Agathiyar. He used his network of gurus, Annamalai Swami and Gopal Pillai, to convey the message in a trance through a devotee of theirs. As I believe the medium is not important, but the message is I took on what was told to me, and it set the path ablaze and removed all obstacles and simplified my journey. He gifted me a photo of Agathiyar at Agasthyam Pali, after whom Agathiyar had asked me to commission his statue when he visited the temple. He and his family and friends were on hand to receive Agathiyar later, in 2010, as Agathiyar entered my home as a bronze statue and invited him over to his home too. So readers, pick up that pen and start taking notes of important life-changing events in your lives now, and leave them for others to read and learn about you and the times you lived in.